What would you have done then? Slags like your Sandra can get away with it, can't they? The Dorings of this world can't, can they?
Hey guys, it's Jim and it's time for another in-depth discussion and analysis video where I just basically in podcast form go off about a movie, and it's going to be about Get Carter from 1971. Now I've done one of these for a while, but I really wanted to do Get Carter because I've done a lot of gangster films in this style on the channel. You should definitely check them out. Get Carter is a staggering piece of work, you know, 1971, directed by Mike Hodges. Written by Mike Hodges also, and starring Michael Caine in just a towering performance. You know, people like to talk about Italian Job. You know, I love Italian Job. I might have to do a video like this about Italian Job. I think it's fantastic. But this, for me, is Michael Caine. I don't think Michael Caine ever approached anything better than Jack Carter in Get Carter. It's a phenomenal performance, you know, it's a phenomenal gangster film. It really, really is. You know, this is a biting film, it's a cold and calculated film. You know, it's so organic and so ground level and dark. You know, it's literally street level gangster stuff. It's so realistic. You know, and it came at such an exciting time for movies. You know, the 70s was an incredible time for gangster films, for lots of cinema. Films just started to take more risks in the 70s. Suddenly we started to experiment with protagonists and film styles. Films became more sleazy, more gritty, more true to life. And it became an incredibly engaging decade. You know, these films just came out that were so pushing boundaries. And Get Carter is one of them. You know, it's an icy film. It's a cold film. But it's incredibly engaging and incredibly entertaining despite being so encased in this feeling of revenge, this feeling of passionate anger that Jack Carter has in this. It's basically about Jack Carter. He goes back to his old hometown in northeast England, and his brother has been killed, and that's basically it. He's just looking to find out what happened and take vengeance. You know, and revenge movies really exploded. You know, after Get Carter, it's one of the first just straightforward revenge movies, just about, you know, tunnel vision revenge, you know, and many films went on to do that. And the revenge genre, for me, is a genre I'm always fascinated for. And, you know, I absolutely love the films because I always know I'm going to see something so striking, you know, and just uncompromising. And savage, you know, like, and I won't see that today, you know. And the more you watch Get Carter, for me it's a film that doesn't age because it's so superior to so many films today. It's so superior, you know, and I don't even think that can be argued. You know, I think Get Carter is one of those films that really does stand the test of time because despite it being 70s aesthetic, 70s gangsters, you know, the fire and the darkness of the film and the quality of the film, just the scripts and the performances, they stand tall. You know, they just stand tall. They just jump off the screen. It's still just as exciting a movie today, which is such a testament to Mike Hodges and such a testament to the movie and Michael Caine's performance. I could talk about Michael Caine all day in this. He's magnetic. You know, he starts off the movie somewhat cool and charming, despite being a gangster. So he kind of starts with these little charming one-liners, and he's a little bit of a jerk, but he's, you know, he's absorbing, he's handsome, he seduces the women around him, you know, he's got that, you know, but there's always a bit of an uncertainty going on behind the eyes. You know, he almost, you know, with Michael Caine, when he's doing these charming roles, you know, there is always that indication of flip of a switch, he can just become a killer. You know, and the opening scene even says that, you know, it says they're all killers just like you, Jack, you know. And I think this film is about, which I'll talk about later, Jack fighting that truth that he knows is true. He knows he's a killer, he knows he's bad, you know. And, you know, as the film goes on, he just gets angrier and angrier, and it becomes darker and darker. And I'm fascinated by this protagonist because characters in the 70s weren't black and white. Suddenly we started to experiment with protagonists, and we got anti-heroes. We got Dirty Harry. We got, Michael Caine was an anti-hero in Italian Job, We got anti-heroes. We got these kind of jerk guys. And in Jack Carter's case, a very horrible person. A very corrupted person. But you liked watching them. And that's really gone with today's cinema. We can't really have that. We can't have characters with blurred lines. Bob Hoskins in Long Good Friday. You love watching him. He's a bad person. We can't get that anymore. We can't have it. We can't blur the lines. We have to have everything black and white. And, I love how the 70s kind of crept through, and it was a decade that I'm so glad it happened because we just don't get it now, and it actually is a time you can look back on when things actually were allowed to be a bit more sleazy, a bit more gritty. Filmmakers were allowed to be true to life and true to street level life and the reality that people aren't black and white, and we got to see horrible people who we end up rooting for in a crazy weird way. He's almost a gangster James Bond in this, he seduces his landlady, he seduces Britt Ekland, who is a wonderful actress who's also in The Wicker Man, and there's a very famous scene in this where he has phone sex with her in front of his landlady while she's in her rocking chair. And that's just one of the most memorable scenes of the 70s, to be honest, because you just see this lady, in one shot, you see this lady, wonderful direction by Mike Hodges, rocking back and forth, and you see Michael Caine in the same shot with his phone, looking right at his landlady, having phone sex with Britt Ekland. It's madness, very sleazy and sexual, pushing boundaries. This film makes sure it shows you the dirty, seedy underbelly of Jack's life, of the gangster life, having phone sex in front of his landlady is, real underlying sense of sleaziness and sense of sexual excitement. Michael Caine in this film, the facial expressions, full of menace, the gestures he makes, the suspicious aura he has when he's trying to find out what happened to his brother, the charisma, and the venomous things he says. He starts off when he confronts one person, takes off his sunglasses and says, you've still got the same eyes, piss holes in the snow. That dialogue is there, of the streets, of the gangster, London gangster street level. And the way he had a way with words in this, Jack Carter, very, very creative with his words, the way he'd insult people, but eventually he just becomes snarling, he just becomes more and more angry because he finds out his brother's daughter, Doreen, played by Petra Markham, has obviously been left without a father, and she's kind of resistant to Jack when he comes back because presumably she knows his life, she knows what he is, she's reluctant to him, but he's kind to her in the ways he knows how. He tries to protect her. Despite Jack being a bastard, which he gets called several times in the film, by his landlady, by his friends, he's just called a bastard. He is, he knows Doreen is the only good thing left in his life, and it almost feels like he's angry at himself that she is, and that makes him more angry, that he's so deep into this world, and he knows how deep the rabbit hole goes. It becomes even more important for him, almost an inconvenience, that he needs to make sure she's protected from it. And, Jack discovers some terribly seedy details about how Doreen's been roped into the world. And you do feel sorry for him. There's a moment where he realises it, and Michael Caine shows some humanity to Jack, and disappointment. And, he looks like a broken man. It's the whole idea of Jack, he thinks he can have it both ways. He thinks he can be this involved and it won't affect the family, and I think this film, the more angry he is about his brother's murder, about Doreen being left without a father and now being roped in the more he, it's almost like he's angry at himself, because he's just got this gritted teeth and this anger at the world, because he knows what he's done, and he just thinks, I've got to protect Doreen. She's the only one left who hasn't been ruined, by me, and what I got involved in, When he finds out what Doreen's been involved with, he's threatening this girl in the bathroom, pulls her out of the bath, shaking her. Her father was my brother. Like, he's so angry, it's such a physical performance of anger by Michael Caine. And then when he kills someone later who was just involved and didn't actually kill him, I didn't kill him, Jack. Stabs him in the stomach. I know you didn't kill him. Like, so much bite and venom in his voice and gritted teeth. The direction in this is wonderful, it's very involving. Close-ups, long lingering shots of Michael Caine's face, showing him so many lights, in a charismatic light, in a charming light, in an angry light. But there's such realism. We are put right in the midst of the world, There's barely any music in this. There's barely any sound effects. It's not celebrity gangsters. It's not Tarantino's gangsters. There is a wonderful score which opens up the film, which kind of has a bit of a swagger to it, but it's still a little bit not what you expect. But it's a fantastic score, but you don't really have it in the movie. It's as involving and close to the action as possible. It becomes very claustrophobic, the film. There are these moments in the film of stylish, like the phone sex scene, and just, Jack being charming, and, the bars and the cars, and, but eventually it's slowly becoming a ticking time bomb. You feel the anger and the tragedy building up and almost becoming overwhelming. But you just, the Northeast England streets are perfectly depicted here. The 70s Northeast England streets. The vibe, the suits, the cars, the guns. There's a shootout at the docks in this, which is incredibly realistic, because it takes the conventional England, seagulls, and docks and boats and water, and corrupts it, So many settings in this, there's a beach setting at one point, It corrupts what we know of England and almost just presents it as this is what it is. This is what could be going on these beaches and these docks at any point. But it's incredibly realistic because there's no music in this shootout. It's not a big action-packed shootout. It speaks for itself. It's not a wild shootout. All the only sound effects you get are the seagulls, the water, the guns. And it's really impactful because, again, it's not trying to manufacture a reaction. One of the most famous scenes in the film, and one of the best, is when Jack throws a guy off the building. Maybe the most uncompromising scene in the movie. Once again, Jack's anger and grit and snarl, and it's such a quiet moment. They're on top of this bloody car park, and there's not a huge dramatic sound when he throws him over. It's not dramatised, and it hits home even more. I almost feel like movies today need to learn this, that we don't have to have a lot of wild sound effects and a lot of wild drama. In that moment, all it is Michael Caine's anger and aggression, and just the idea of throwing him, and when he's falling, there's no sound, just falls straight down onto a car. It's madness. When Jack is chasing this guy across the beach, and they're both stumbling and falling over and puffing and huffing, that's not what you see in gangster films today. You just see crazy shootouts and running and getting up. This, Jack gets tired, the characters get tired, they fall over, they fall over in the sand, and it's just like a bizarre culmination for me to look back, that there's a culmination where characters are just stumbling and falling across the beach. But again, it's like, this is how hits would have been in the actual gangster life. It would have been someone running for his life, being pursued, slipping and tripping into the into the sand. It would have been like this, and I love that. It's so authentic. It almost in a way makes it more impactful than it would be if it was a wild and crazy culmination, because it's like, you feel it more. You feel it more. You feel the end of the road more at the end of this, And I could go on about Get Carter for forever. It is a spectacular piece of work. It's the greatest Michael Caine performance by far in my book, because it showed that he almost had the devil in him in this. He almost had the devil in him. Jack has the devil in him. When he's shouting, when he's forcing beer down the guy's throat and shouting, going, "You killed her, hey, hey!" Like, it's like through these gritted teeth, this monster comes out of him, and it's about how the gangster life will make you that monster. You can't stop it, you know. And he sits there and he wishes that he could have Doreen protected, and that brings the monster out even more. You know, it's about what the gangster life does. I might do a discussion on Scarface or Carlito's Way, you know, or some other British gangster films. You know, I have done a discussion on Long Good Friday on this channel, which you should check out. I've done other discussions which will also be on the screen for you to click on. But yeah, I wanted to start doing more of these because they've done pretty well on my channel, and it's something I enjoy doing, sitting here and kind of dissecting a movie in kind of a podcast format. If you enjoyed, please subscribe. I have many more videos planned like this. I have many more that you can watch. And subscribe for my regular content. We love to geek out over movies on this channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Watch Get Carter. Watch it, eh? Watch it. That's my impression. Michael Caine. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys very soon.